Super, super. Thank you so much, guys. So without further ado, I think let's start because 8:45 was the designated time. I think I'll just give you a brief about the purpose behind this initiative that we have done and we have launched. I think Stock Darbar and Bazaar Pe Charcha, which we have every alternate Wednesday, is still going to continue, right? So that is. So Partha, can you? I'm speaking very loudly. I think a lot of people can hear me. If you can put your earphones on or your headphones on. Yeah, I think that'll be better. I'm in fact speaking very, very loudly and very close to the laptop as well. Yeah, so the purpose here is that both the existing webinars that we do, right? Stock Darbar and Bazaar Pe Charcha, which we have every alternate Wednesday, stroke Thursday, that is going to very well continue, right? Because that is more or less a more detailed version in terms of how we are viewing the markets, how we are viewing each individual sector, and how we are viewing certain stocks within those sectors, and obviously take your queries as well. What we thought was that every morning we send out a research report note, every evening we send out a research report note. All that is fine. But the interaction that happens in terms of hearing someone out, right, is far more better, and that's far more encouraging of sorts, because you probably get the pulse far better than reading through. So with that intention, I think this is what we have tried to create. Every morning at 8:45 for almost 6 or 7 odd minutes, we'll be discussing a few broad prospects about global markets. I'll just lay down the agenda in front of you, and Rushit will then take it forward. And we'll take it forward in that sense. In that 6 to 7 odd minutes, we will try to break down how the global setup is, how the Nifty setup is in the first place, the Nifty ki initiative या Nifty की charts पे setup कैसे लग रही है, what were the driving factors of Nifty for the day gone by. Second, we look at any major events that are affecting us, right? From the close of markets yesterday till the opening, so till the pre-bell, till the morning bell goes off today morning for any session in the market. So any development that probably happens either from a sector perspective, anything major from a company perspective, I think all those important elements can be covered. The third is the global market setup, how global markets are poised. And obviously, I think what we love to see every morning that we get up, right? How SGX Nifty is shaping up to give us a cue on how markets will open at this point of time here. And the last section is that where we'll cover important charts of the day, right? So 2 or 3 charts, depending on what is probably looking good. From a canceling perspective, from a perspective where there are developments for a sector as a whole, and certain stocks with the N factor in canceling can do well, and how this will probably help in identification of winners from an O'Neill methodology as well. So without further ado, I think this is the broad setup that we have in mind. Every morning, the lineup is that me, Rushit, Rajshekar, Vakar, we are going to take individual days every week. And Pawan is going to take a session on Thursday, because this is how we have devised it. Thursday is a weekly expiry, and therefore anything related to how the indices are set up from a call put perspective, how Bank Nifty is set up from a call put perspective, I think that will give us a lot of clarity on how we expect the expiry to happen and what we are looking in terms of rollovers for the coming week as well. Without further ado, thanks for joining this, guys. We'll be connecting every morning and we will evolve. So we will see how this goes and then keep on evolving with every passing session. With this, I hand over the baton to Rushit. Rushit, take over, please. Yeah.
Thanks, Mayuresh. Very good morning to all of you. So I think you guys now really know about this session. So this is the first episode of Pre-Bell with William O'Neill India. So let's begin. So first, if you look at the Nifty setup, so yesterday was a very volatile session. So if you see after opening around 180.17, 180 levels, so Nifty tested its 200 DMA. On an intraday basis, it breached below its 200 DMA for just 20-25 points. But the good part was that the 17,000 level, or the level which is very close to 200 DMA, provided a very good support. And from there, index rebound very sharply. And like the good part was that it closed above its 50-day moving average. So now today, the opening is expected to be good. So what we are expecting that Nifty should trade above its 50-day MA level, right? But there are a lot of global factors, a lot of noise, a lot of news that is coming up. Let's say, for example, the Russia-Ukraine crisis, the crude oil. So a lot of things are there. So what you need to do is to be very careful about the Nifty's level. The stocks that you are holding is very, very important. So which levels are they holding up, the 50 DML level, 200 DML level, or any other setup that they are forming, right? So for Nifty, the key thing is to hold about the 50-day moving average. In the worst case, we don't want it to breach this 17,000 level, क्योंकि वहां से नीचे एक ज्यादा फॉल आ सकता है 300 400 और मे बी इवन मोर देन दैट. सो द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग इज कि 200 डीएमए होल्ड करें. ऑन द हायर साइड अगर 50 डीएमए के नीचे आज का लो बनता है then that will be very positive for the market. So अगर key news देखें तो crude breach 110 level, right? So रात को around 105 per barrel it slipped below, right? There was a lot of tension regarding the lockdowns in China कि demand कम हो जाएगा. 31st March को there is OPEC meeting, so there is an anticipation that the OPEC will try to increase the crude oil production to keep the prices in check. So I think due to both of these factors, the price went below 110 to up to 105. But the good part, or not for the India, is that it's again around $110. But guys, every $10 matters for the India. So RBI has estimated that increase in crude price of every $10 impacts our inflation by around 25 basis points, right? So even a relax of $10 per barrel is very good for the Indian economy. So as far as the USD is concerned, it's quite under control, right? The RBI did a great job even in these uncertain times. So the high was around 77.50. So it never went above that, right? So it was in a very good check. Currently, it's around 76. If it's remain at this level, so there's no issue. Even the exporters will be benefiting at this level. The other company level that you should watch for is like Sudarshan Chemical is rising fund around 200 crore. Then Power Grid has, investing in some 4 to 5 projects around 800 to 820 crore. And the the Tata Power has tied up with the Rustomjee Group to set up the electric vehicle charging stations in the residential as well as the commercial properties. So now if you look at the US market, so it closed higher, right? Around 0.3 to 1.3% higher on its key major indexes. But what good part that you should note is that it opened lower, right? And it recovered from the lows, and that is very crucial. So recovering from the lows and closing it high, that is the good part for the US market. If you look at the Asian market this morning, the Kospi and Nikkei has been good. The Shanghai has been very flat. Now, coming to SGX Nifty, it indicates almost 150 points higher opening for the Nifty. Yeah, that's what I think a lot of guys track that, okay, SGX Nifty gives a good idea of how Nifty can open. So the opening indications are very good. But as I told you, the level that is important to watch out is the 50 DMA, which is near 17,200, right? So you need to be very watchful around that level. So now, the favorite of, I think, most of you will be the chart of the day. So first, we will be discussing about the Gokaldas export, right? It is one of the largest manufacturer of clothes, right, in India. And the point that might be hurting is that the cotton prices are very high. एक साल में almost double हो गया है, but the good part is इनका export business बहुत अच्छा है. इंडिया में भी इनके clients are very good and they are able to pass on. In fact, if you read the transcript, so the management is guiding कि margin सिर्फ maintain ही नहीं होगा, but 1 or 2% margin बढ़ सकता है. So this is something very positive. Even at this high cotton price, they are able to pass on the prices. They are able to increase their margins, right? Plus, demand is very high. You look at the US market, where they export some major. So there, the demand is very high. Even in India, the demand is very high, right? You just move around in the market and you will see the amount of people, the number of people that are going in the markets, they are buying the goods. That has been very good. So, and now coming to the technical setup, if you see all the ratings, the earnings, the relative strength, everything is very good, right? All the things are very positive. जो consolidated base बन रहा है वो भी बहुत अच्छा है. A disclaimer that this is not a buy or sell recommendation, but whenever the stocks break out, right, from its pivot, and whenever it's in a 0 to 5% of buy range, that is the ideal point where you need to look for the fresh entry. Other things, the volume setup, that's not a problem. Volume on the higher days have been very good, right? So overall, the chart as well as the fundamentals for the Gokaldas export looks quite good. The second chart of the day, the Dalmia Bharat sugar. Yeah, this is forming an excellent base. So it might look extended on a daily chart if you are looking at, but this is the weekly chart that I am showing you. If you look at the weekly chart, it is still trading in the buy range. It has an excellent earnings, right? And over the last few quarters, they have been doing really good. If you look at the locations of the plant, they are very strategic. UP में इनका plant है, महाराष्ट्र में इनका plant है, ठीक है? तो procurement of raw material, the logistic cost gets lower. The second thing is their plants are very close to the the transportation area. So like, let's say for example, ports in Maharashtra. So what this helps in कि यहाँ पे भी logistic cost कम हो जाता है इनके लिए. So whenever the prices of the fuels are higher, the logistic cost कम करना is a very crucial factor. For that, Dalmia Bharat can do well. The second thing, the sugar demand, global is very high. The white sugar prices are going higher, and the most important thing, all of you might be listening, Nitin Gadkari, it's about the ethanol. Yes. So these guys are expanding their ethanol capacity to around 2 to 3 times in the next 2 to 3 years, right? So there's a lot of demand of ethanol. So we are not producing even half of what we really require. So on that front, the fundamental and the growth story front, the stock is a thumbs up. If you look at the technical setup, this looks good, right? But one thing you need to keep in mind that this is in the ASM stage 1 list. So yeah, it is under the surveillance, but it is still having the 20% circuit. Abhi stage 1 hai, right? So no major issue, but you should keep in mind when you are investing that if the stock continuously does well for 2 to 3 days, then the stages might be revised and the circuits might be capped, and that can create a bit of a problem for the stock. Otherwise, it's a very good setup. It's a very good story. So that's it for the day. Thank you very much for joining. I hope you found this very helpful, and over to you, Mayurish.
Hey, thanks, Rushit. So guys, again, what we are trying to do here is we got a lot of queries on some individual stocks. What we'll try to incorporate going forward, and I said as we evolve is right. We will try to incorporate a few of these sessions in terms of some stock queries as well. But for that, we'll need to prepone the session a tad bit, because if we take 2 queries, then 10 or 12 queries will happen. It will be same like Stock Darbar. The differentiation factor here is to get yourself abreast with the latest news developments and some important stocks that we feel are on their way to do very well as per the cancelling methodology. Yeah. So all the best, guys. Thank you so much for attending, and we will be staying in touch and in tune with you every morning from 8:45 tomorrow onwards as well. Thanks a ton. Be safe. Take care. Bye. Thanks, Rushit.